So I had to think what should I do and how I should present regarding principles to measure and evaluate learning levels. So I really like this this talk. These thoughts from this guy, from Dalai Lama. He says teaching is the only way for achieving immortality. And then the other thing that I like about teaching is that basically teaching is a mirror image of learning. So I don't know, is that? Yeah. So by teaching you learn, and by learning you teach. So it's two-way process, and that's why it's important to be done. So I personally feel that teaching is like shooting. You shoot and you try to hit the target. However, with shooting, you try to destroy the target. While I think that with teaching, you try to improve the target. You shoot and you hope that you will improve the target. But you should not leave it only on hope. You have to try to see and to understand if you're improving the target. And if that's not happening, what you should do to improve the target or to improve yourself, because it might be not the target's problem, but your problem. So in order to this process to work, I think that you need motivation. So you need the two sides to be motivated. If the teacher is motivated and if the learner is motivated, then the process is going. But if the motivation is lacking, then it's not going. So what is evaluation? Let's define evaluation. Evaluation is a process of establishing a worth of something. Just checking whether something has some value and if we have to do it or we shouldn't do it. So by evaluation of the teaching process, we try to get some feedback. As I said, not just leaving it on hope that we're doing well. So some feedback of the effectiveness of our activities. And like that, we will try to put more control of what we are doing and to see what we can improve in order to do it better. And in that respect, a question whether we should evaluate training at all is not standing. We have to do that because there are too many benefits from evaluating the training process and checking whether we are doing right. Namely, we can improve our quality of the training activities. We can improve we could improve our teaching process. We could get better planning. We could get better integration of the teaching with the needs, etc., etc. We could talk a lot and we could give more and more benefits, but I don't want to bore you with that. So this is basically the teaching activities evaluation that are listed in the main page of the London Deanery. So this is what's happening in UK. This is how the UK teachers monitor the training process. All these listed items are part of the monitoring of the training process. And I would like to say a few words of the most important of those. So probably this is happening most common with evaluation of the teaching process. So every trainee will have a supervisor, and this supervisor most often will engage in a so-called developmental dialogue or professional conversation. So that's a very common idea that is used very often in the monitoring of the teaching process. And this is when, namely, experienced colleague will take opportunity to engage in these professional developmental dialogues. It should be done in an informal way. So it should be friendly and informal way, but it should not be too informal. It should not be chat. Or the other thing is you should not go to the other extreme. You should not be too paternalistic, or you should not put a lot of criticism. Otherwise, you will put down your trainees and they will not do well. So basically, by doing this, the teacher should still do that in a structural way, and he should try to identify the significant elements, should try to identify learning points, and further input of mainly what we have to do in order to improve the teacher and the trainer. Another form of monitoring and educating the trainees is discussing significant event or critical incidents, to analyze the situation, to see what we have done, to see what we can do in the future. Namely, this is helping learners to make sense of the events, and if that event caused some emotional response, or if it has revealed any gap of understanding, or it has provoked some different way of thinking, we could ask the trainees to think for that event in advance, and then we could sit and discuss this event with them. We will ask the trainee to, first of all, to say what they think has happened with their own words. And then we will ask the trainee to identify key points, how they feel about that. And then finally, we will sit and we'll analyze the situation, and we will decide what has been done well, what has been done in a way that needs improvement, and what we should not do in the future. Personal or professional development plan. So it's another way of monitoring the training process. So everybody, all of the trainees in the majority of the European countries now, and sure it's like that in US as well, they will have personal development plan. So it's a formal structural plan that the individual himself will reflect on his future goals, and will set new goals and new strategies how to achieve more. So the plan clearly should comprise activities and outcomes that will allow the trainee to meet the defined goals, some time frames, and also the plan will specify dates when the plan will be rediscussed and will be tweaked by the trainers. So the plan, of course, could vary from trainee to trainee, because, of course, there is a standardized training program, but everybody is different, and to certain margins we could allow variations. Portfolios. A lot of all of the medical professionals now, they are mandatory to keep. To be under professional review, to renew registration, to do appraisals and revalidation, and this is to keep us up to date and to keep us fit for practice. That's important because we have to give evidence that we continue to develop, that we maintain our knowledge and our skills. And one of the good ways to do that is to maintain a portfolio, because the portfolio will pull information from different sources and from different range of sources, and this will demonstrate that you are keeping up to date. Usually the portfolio will comprise the development plan, your appraisal records, and you could demonstrate that you have done research papers, you have done many conferences, you have done educational courses, and like that, this will be a demonstration that you still go forward and that you are keeping yourself up to date. And finally, I would like to just give you an example of how a discussion of educational event could be set and could be done. So let's say we are doing a surgical procedure, and it will be between the trainer and the trainee. So the trainee wants to learn specific things. So basically, what we normally do is we do briefing, we do intraoperative technique, which is the operation, and then we do the brief. So in the briefing, we normally set with the trainee what the trainee wants to do, what the trainee wants to learn during that procedure. Then we take the trainee through the procedure, and then we do the briefing, getting reflections, and discussing what was done and how it was done and what we will do in the future. Namely, we ask the question, what do you want to do during this procedure? Which part of the procedure, or can you do the whole procedure? Are you capable of doing that? And then during the procedure, we are focusing on specific parts and specific key points. And then finally, we discuss how the procedure went and what were the strong sides and the weak sides, what needs to be improved. These people, they have published this paper in 2009, and they did some statistics about the training process and how this could be standardized and what we can do to achieve better. In case you're interested, you could read that. Thank you so much for the attention.